Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be doing another album review, going to be looking at this record by Johnny Marr. It is The Messenger. So this review was requested by a user called James Wilson, so thank you very much for requesting this. So officially this is Johnny Marr's first solo album, released on the 25th of February in 2013. Now it hasn't been like the only thing like he's done like since like the Smiths broke up like some like 25 years before this was released. Like instead of forging a solo career like straight away, like Marr like instead decided to collaborate with various other musicians, including the likes of the Pretenders, Talking Heads, and other, and also forming his own group with Bernard Sumner called Electronic. However, technically this isn't Marr's sort of first record where he was like the lead vocalist, because in 2003 he released an album under the name of Johnny Marr and the Healers, which is technically the first record where he done like all of like the songwriting, like all of like the vocals, but generally like that album like was considered like a disappointment and like has since been kind of swept like under the carpet like in like subsequent years. So since making and touring the album, like he'd done like with the Healers Boom Slang, he's been like in like a few bands like including the Cribs and Modest Mouse before deciding to go solo here. Like some songs like on this record, like he must have been writing like since I think about 2011 when he performed like his first gigs like as a solo artist. Like he actually previewed some of like material from here, which like wouldn't like get like officially released like until 2 years later. He said his intentions for this record were to appeal to his original Smiths fan base by making a record which sounded quite effortless and like distinctively like Johnny Marr, like guitar like orientated music, and like well within like the comfort zones like of his listeners. The album was quite well received upon release and like commercially fared quite well, hitting number 10 on the UK charts. Many fans reckoned it better than Morrissey's recent albums and like welcomed like the rocking guitar-driven nature like of many of the songs. So I'll now just show you my vinyl copy here. It's just like a new copy of it really. Like it isn't like the oldest album. So I don't think it's been reissued since it came out in 2013. Although like interestingly, my copy says 2012 on it, which is slightly interesting. So maybe like it came out on CD then. Not too sure. But anyway, nice thick cardboard on it. I have left mine like in like the shrink wrap, like, but the actual card like it is lovely quality. Get a nice inner sleeve with a picture of Marr on one side there with his now iconic Fender Jaguar guitar, and the back is just lyrics. The record itself, it looks like this. It's on the Warner Brothers label, so it looks like that. Unfortunately with this there is no download code, so I have also got the CD of it as well, but that's just like a standard CD, like I don't really need to show that one. Okay, so I'm now going to go over each of the album's 12 songs. I will score each track out of 10, and then those scores will be used to give us a overall percentage marking for the album. So it begins really well with a song called Right Thing Right, which is, yeah, a really great like opening song. Starts with like this flurry like off like guitar chords before like a solid like thumping beat like kicks in. It's got some really like effective like slide guitar like going on like in it like as well. Lyrically it's maybe like a bit repetitive like the chorus, but like overall like musically like at least like this song just really rocks, like really like pulls you into the album very well. So yeah, The Right Thing Right, and we'll get a 9 out of 10 from me. The next song keeps the pace quite upbeat, a song called I Want the Heartbeat, but unfortunately it's quite a lyrically throwaway song really, like also like vocally as well, like it isn't fantastic. Like Marr's like not a brilliant singer, like he is quite good, but like certainly like on this song like it doesn't kind of like showcase like his like full like ability like as a vocalist, because like they are kind of buried like in like the mix like his vocals like amongst like all like these like guitar like layers which he's put like on the song. So yeah, like, it's not a bad track, just not one which I particularly revisit much like on the record. next one is called European Me, which I do quite like this one. This has grown on me a little bit since I first heard it. It's still slightly like unremarkable though. There are some really nice harmony vocals like on this as well. I believe done by Marr's daughter, Sunny. Like it is quite pleasant, like it's quite catchy, like the chorus, like once you hear it like a few times. But like it isn't like anything like amazing, this song. Like it's just like an average good track, like something like what you would like expect like from like a Johnny Marr solo record. The next song is a bit more rocking. It's called Upstarts, and I absolutely love this song. Like it's got a great riff to it. Lyrically, it's a bit better than some of like the other ones I call on this record. Generally, like about sort of protesting, like the system sort of like rising up and like sort of upstarts, like that kind of thing. Like great guitar riff in it, and like a fantastic key changer as well, which keeps the song interesting. So yeah, like it is a good track here. Like there are some like fun lyrics on it, like the underground is overground, the overground will pull you down. Like I quite like that line like in it actually. So yeah, a good track there. Upstarts would get a 9 out of 10. And then that's followed up by the equally brilliant Lockdown, which just has just such a big sound to it. It really reminds me like of the Blondie song Union City Blue, like just because of like how vast like the track sounds. Like the lyrics are like great, like on like this one kind of like just about sort of like a shutdown like of like society and like that kind of thing. I mean, like it is like a good song, like lyrically and like also musically as well. Like I love like the bridge where he kind of what's the bridge lyric again? Like I know I was born between the exit streets and entry beats. That bit sounds amazing. Like Marr's vocals, brilliant stuff there. So Lockdown would get a 10 out of 10 for me. And then closing off side one, we get the title song, The Messenger, which this is probably the most potent example of like what has like sort of like in recent years become Marr's signature style, like on guitar. Like it has got some like sort of like electronic like elements like in it. Like it does certainly like remind me like a lot of like electronic songs. Like if Bernard Sumner was singing this, like you could be forgiven for thinking that it was like from like their like debut record, like what they made together. But like has some fantastically layered, like very like intricately recorded guitars. Lyrically, it is a little bit sparse. I'll just show you like the lyrics to it. It is just that wee song there, and like it does go on for like about 4 minutes, but actually like as a song, like it does hold up just because there's so much going on like with like the track musically. Like it is like always like quite interesting, this song. So yeah, The Messenger would get a 9 out of 10 for me. That's the way that I go. Okay, so now flipping over to side 2, we get a song called Generate, which starts quite similar to The Right Thing Right. Like you're almost thinking like have like you just like replayed like the same side like what you've just finished. But like it has a kind of slightly different feel like for like the verse. Like it's a bit more sort of like drum and bass sort of like driven, this track here. Like less guitars going on like in like the verse, and like lyrically it does sound a little bit like made up, like more like kind of shouting like about sort of calculating like and like computers and the like. It does rock strong though, this song, and like certainly I think works quite well as a live performance, this track here. But like yeah, like it isn't one of my absolute favourites like on the record. Still a solid track there though, Generate. But you're in for love. The next one is a slightly slower one, probably the only song you would really call like a ballad like on like this record. Yeah, like it's not well a ballad, like maybe pushing it a bit, but a song called Say Demesne. I hope I'm saying that right. Like I said, like it begins quite slow and maybe a little bit dull. The chorus itself picks up the song somewhat like the like You're In For Love bit, but like it doesn't get like much better. Like Marr doesn't sound enthused singing this song. It sounds quite sort of like laid back, like he doesn't really care. I can like yeah, like he was like sort of capable like of like a lot more. So yeah, this song here, not a massive favourite of mine, a little bit fillery. Next song is kind of similar, a song called Sun and Moon, which this one is very forgettable. Like, I mean, like, I've got written down here that it is like a rocking track, but like nothing that we haven't heard before, like from this album. Like, as I said, like quite forgettable, just like passes by this song really. So yeah, Sun and Moon, I think we'll get a 6 out of 10. Okay, so now the next 3 songs that go on the record, like in fact, are all really fantastic stuff. Like, they do like pick up like the album quite well. Like, after like a bit of like a shaky start to the second side, the first of these songs is called The Crack Up, which I absolutely love. Like, the guitars are a lot more interestingly recorded, and like also like it hits on a really fantastic chorus, which I think it goes, her smiles are miles of anger, like her smiles are miles of metaphor, don't crack up, it don't add up. I like that line, and like the way he sings it, like the way like the guitar's going, like the way like the beat kind of like revolves like around that. I think it just works so well. Like, nice like synthesizers like as well. I think that was down to a guy called Doviak, like Marr's like kind of like producer, like and like collaborator like on like this record. So yeah, like he like contributes some really nice like synthesizer touches as well. So yeah, The Crack Up, fantastic song there, would get a 10 out of 10 for me. Next track is my favourite on the record, and probably most people's favourite like on the album. It's a song called Newtown Velocity, which yeah, easily the best song like on the record for me. It's got a kind of, I would say, a New Order sort of feel to it. Like, it's very loose and very spacious, like as like a track. There's like a lot of room like for like the guitars to really like breathe and like flourish like in this song. Lyrically, it's quite different from most of like the record. This song is like quite personal, like about Marr's journey like out of like Manchester, like out of childhood and like his school days, like and like dreaming of and like eventually becoming a famous musician. It's certainly like it is like a personal touch missing from many of the album's other lyrics. But like yeah, like I mean like this song, fantastic stuff. Like you really like need to hear this song. Like, it just works so well, like so like wonderfully constructed, I think. Okay, now the closing song is maybe somewhat like anticlimactic, like coming after Newtown Velocity. It's called Word Starts Attack, which is a very sort of disco, sort of danceable kind of song, like to finish like off the record. The verses themselves like aren't like that great, like, but it is the whole like guitars like on like this song here, like the way like they're layered, like it's just so funky, like the riff like he gets going like on this song, like and like again like the key change like towards the end just like works wonders with this track. So yeah, like Word Starts Attack would get an 8 out of 10 for me. Like, I do quite enjoy this song. Okay, so overall this album would score 82%. So I think this is a really solid like effort like from Johnny Marr. Like, it really plays to like his strengths of like being able to layer guitars and like create very interesting like sonic scenes. Vocally, it is maybe a little bit like weak and like rough around the edges, like in like some places. Like yes, he maybe doesn't have a lot of character like in like his voice, but certainly like he can like carry a tune, like, and he does a quite like honourable job like of like handling vocals like on this record, considering that this was like only the second album like where like he does do lead vocals on it. Another sort of notable thing, like as well, like from like a kind of like guitar player's like perspective, like is this is the first record where he was kind of playing his sort of signature Fender Jaguar guitar. Like, he's like got like his own range like of like these like Fender like Jaguar guitars now, like which like it's certainly like a showcase like a lot like on like this record. Like, I mean, like, he never used like that type of guitar like in like in like the Smiths, like, or like for like the Boom Slang album. Like, this was like the first record like where it's used, so like it is like quite interesting like how like that guitar's like now become like synonymous like with like Johnny Marr. Compared to his other solo record, Playland, I think this one is just a bit stronger. Playland does have like does have some cracking tracks like Easy Money, Dynamo, but like, this one has like Newtown Velocity and like Lockdown, Upstarts, and like overall, like I would say, like is more consistent. Like it's easier to like say like play this album from start to finish, whereas Playland's like a little bit more like sort of highlights and like low points, like more like peaks and troughs sort of thing. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this review of Johnny Marr's The Messenger, and I will see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.